Ever wonder what's going on behind the curtain when you apply for a loan, a new apartment, or even a job? Well, a massive part of that decision comes down to your credit report. But here's the kicker. What if that report is wrong? That is exactly where a really powerful but often misunderstood law comes into play. It's called the Fair Credit Reporting Act, or FCRA. And trust me, it gives you way more power than you probably think.
So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what the FCRA does for you. We'll start with why your report's accuracy is just so critical. Then we'll get into the rule book itself, the specific rights, or as I like to call them, your superpowers, that it gives you, how you can actually fight an error, and finally, what happens when companies just don't listen.
All right, first things first, your credit report, it's way more than just a list of your debts. Think of it as a financial story that literally follows you everywhere, and it influences huge life decisions. Lenders, insurers, landlords, even potential employers, they all use it to get a read on you. Now, when it's accurate, it's a great tool. But when it's not, the consequences can be absolutely devastating.
And that really brings us to the most important question, right? Is your financial story being told the right way? Because an error isn't just some little typo. It can be the wall that stops you from getting a home, a car, or even that dream job. And listen, these aren't just hypotheticals. These are real, incredibly damaging errors that can happen to anyone. It's usually not malicious, you know? It's often just automated systems mixing up similar names, or a simple data entry mistake, or old info that just never got deleted. But the result is the same. I mean, can you imagine being denied a mortgage because your report says you're deceased? Or having your credit totally trashed because your file got mixed up with your dad's? These things happen, and they can turn your entire financial life upside down.
And this is not some rare, once-in-a-blue-moon problem. A major study by the Federal Trade Commission found that nearly 1 in 4 consumers found errors on their credit reports. That is a huge number. It means there's a pretty significant chance that your report could have inaccurate information on it right this very second. This is exactly why the Fair Credit Reporting Act was created. It is the official rulebook designed to protect you from these exact kinds of problems. It's all about bringing fairness and accuracy into the system.
So, this law was passed way back in 1970, and it has 3 main goals: making sure the info in your file is accurate, keeping that information fair, and protecting your privacy. You know, it was actually one of the very first data privacy laws of the information age. It basically established that there should be no secret files making decisions about your life. Now, to get how this all works, you need to know who the FCRA is actually bossing around. It governs 2 main groups. First, you have the Consumer Reporting Agencies, or CRAs. You know them. Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. They're the keepers of the report. Then it also governs the furnishers. That's the banks, the credit card companies, the lenders who feed all your account data to the CRAs. And here's the key. Both of them have a legal duty to get it right.
Okay, now let's get to the best part. The FCRA doesn't just lay down rules for companies. It actually hands you a set of what I call consumer superpowers. These are your legal rights, and they're designed to put you in control of your own financial story.
Superpower number 1, the right to see exactly what they have on you. You're entitled to a free copy of your credit report from each of the big 3 bureaus every single year. I mean, you can't fix what you can't see, right? This right makes sure everything is out in the open.
This one is the big one. If you find something that's just not right, it's inaccurate, incomplete, whatever, you have the absolute right to dispute it. This is your #1 tool for fixing the record, whether it's a late payment that was never late or an account that isn't even yours.
And get this, they can't just ignore you. Once you file that dispute, the law says the credit bureau and the information furnisher have to conduct a reasonable investigation and fix any verifiable errors, and they usually have to do it within 30 days. That timeline, it's legally binding.
Your financial information, it's private. The FCRA puts a limit on who can just pull your credit report. A company can only look at your file if they have a legally valid reason, like if you're applying for credit, or insurance, or an apartment. No random peeking allowed.
The law gets super specific, especially when it comes to jobs. A potential employer cannot use your credit report as part of a background check unless they get your written permission first, and it has to be on a separate document. This gives you direct control over who sees your info when you're trying to get hired.
So knowing your rights is one thing, but actually using them is another. Let's walk through the exact action plan for getting an error fixed on your report.
The whole process is actually pretty straightforward. Step 1, go get your free reports from the only official site, which is annualcreditreport.com. Step 2,
Go through them with a fine-tooth comb. Check every single detail. Step 3. Formally file a dispute with whichever credit bureau is showing the error. And then, Step 4. You wait for the investigation. Just remember, they are legally required to investigate and respond.
Now, part of spotting errors is knowing how long negative stuff is even allowed to hang around on your report. For most negative items, like late payments or collections, they have to be removed after 7 years. A Chapter 7 bankruptcy, that can stay for 10. So if you're looking at your report and you see an old black mark that has long overstayed its welcome, guess what? That's an error. And you have the right to dispute it and get it out of there.
But what if you do everything right? You file the dispute, you give them proof, and they still refuse to correct a genuine mistake. Well, the FCRA has a plan for that too, and this is where the law really shows its teeth.
This quote from a federal court case, it really says it all. The FCRA isn't just a list of polite suggestions. It's a law with serious, and I mean serious, financial consequences for companies that break the rules. The very real possibility of having to pay out big damages is what keeps the whole reporting industry in check.
And this, right here, is your ultimate superpower. If a credit bureau or a furnisher fails to follow the FCRA, like by not doing a reasonable investigation, you might have the right to sue them. You can go after them for actual damages like money you lost or even mental anguish, plus your court costs and attorney's fees. And if they willfully violated the law, you can even seek punitive damages.
So when you boil it all down, what the Fair Credit Reporting Act really does is it empowers you to be the editor, the author of your own financial story. It gives you all the tools you need to make sure that your story is told accurately and fairly. The only question left is, are you ready to pick up the pen?